All children exist within a social context that shapes them and is shaped by them. This two-way interaction is at the heart of the ecological systems model proposed by the psychologist Urie Bronfenbrenner. He suggested that child development can be understood within this model that accounts for both nature and nurture. So not only a child's biological and psychological traits, but all the social and environmental influences like family, school, community, culture, and belief systems, and all the interactions that influence behaviours, events, and outcomes. There are 5 systems of influence in Bronfenbrenner's model. The microsystem is comprised of the individual child and those they directly interact with, such as family, friends, neighbours, school and service providers. The mesosystem is concerned with social connections, relationships, links or interactions between the various settings in the microsystem. The exosystem is the broader social context, and it includes the political, legal, educational and health systems and the job market. The macrosystem includes social norms, cultural mores, religious beliefs, and the dominant ideologies which are the drivers of laws, policies and practices. These 4 systems are embedded in a 5th system, the chronosystem, which is concerned with time, individual time as in personal biology and biography, historical or social, cyclical as in the changing of the seasons or the celebration of anniversaries, and future time. Each system influences and is influenced by other systems, so a change in one has the potential to produce a change in another. Let's look at the example of substance use in the ecological system. At the microsystem level, maternal substance use can affect the development of the unborn baby, the inner world. An infant exposed to alcohol in utero may develop any one of 3 fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, which can result in abnormal facial features, small head size, growth deficit, poor coordination, hyperactive behaviour, difficulty with attention and poor memory, which will of course affect the child's behaviour and the relational responses to that child in the mesosystem. Still at the microsystem level, substance use can influence the child through role modelling of family members and friends, or through access. The child may live in a neighbourhood where alcohol or certain drugs are widely available and commonly used. At the level of the mesosystem, the child's family may experience conflict with the child's school or with service providers such as child protection or police. Or the family may enjoy good relationships with service providers and be open to support, and the mesosystem may provide options that can help improve the situation in the child's microsystem. Exosystem influences might include punitive laws that increase the likelihood of the removal of children from parental care, whereas a benefit might be a policy that provides access to family-sensitive interventions that include something like parenting skills development. Legislation and policy on substance use are heavily influenced by the macrosystem, particularly through society's views on the dangers of using illicit drugs. Macrosystem influences, such as government policy, society's values and media messages, can have as great an impact as microsystem influences, such as peer pressure and family expectations, because they not only impact on uptake and continued use of substances, they also result in stigma, which influences help-seeking behaviours and recovery. Let's look at the role of stigma from an ecological perspective. Stigma, which is associated with the macrosystem, is born from stereotypes and prejudice. Discrimination occurs with both conscious and unconscious bias. Common stereotypes for substance users include that they're dangerous, self-destructive, unreliable, and that they're bad parents. Those with substance use issues are judged based on these stereotypes, and this can result in acts of discrimination. This can be clearly seen in experience of mothers with substance issues and the judgment and blame directed towards them from friends, family services, child protection, and the court system. The bias of these systems puts these women at a disadvantage. Discrimination over time, from a trauma-informed perspective, compromises self-efficacy and an individual's ability to respond and to self-regulate, which perpetuates behaviour, their situation, and the stereotyping and demonisation of their substance use. The chronosystem shows us where intergenerational trauma occurs. Children who grow up in out-of-home care may not learn the parenting skills to bring up their own children, and this can contribute to the cycle of substance use and separation. Here's another example that concerns single mothers, beginning with the macrosystem, the cultural context. Up until the 1970s, the dominant belief in Australia was that children should only be raised in two-parent families, with a mother and a father. As a result, there were no payments for sole parents unless they were abandoned wives or widows. This payment was, of course, based on a decision made in the exosystem where social security provisions are enacted. Consequently, using the terminology of the day, unwed mothers were often pressured to give up their infants for adoption or had no means of supporting them. The resulting separation profoundly impacted the microsystem of both the mother and her child. During the 1970s, the women's movement drew attention to the relationship between the personal and the political. Women began to form pressure groups to lobby for payments for mothers who gave birth outside of marriage, thereby influencing the macrosystem through changes to society's attitudes. Changes in the exosystem meant that there were more women working in jobs that could influence policy making. The result was the introduction of the sole parent payment, an action at the exosystem level, which enabled women and their infants to remain together, thus influencing the microsystem, which in turn radiated effects out through all the levels of the ecological system.